What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of All Things Super. I am one of your hosts, Spider, and I am joined once again by Mr. VIP Frankie Washington. How are you doing today, sir?
I am What's that? What's that you say? Pop? That what? I am not saying that. I am infinitely awesome, sir. Thank you for asking. How are you doing? Hey, you got the lady with you.
Yes, I do. But you all know what it is. It's a new Marvel movie, so we have the first ladies of All Things Super joining us. We have Keisha and Michelle back again. How are y'all today?
Yeah, with y'all in that whole little,
Yeah, we're together.
Together.
Y'all together.
Yeah, we're together. She put a ring on it and everything.
Y'all side by side with it. Oh, that's how y'all doing it now. Okay, y'all like a pair. I got you. Couple kind of like, okay. Let me get things situated. Yeah. Too legit to quit, apparently.
I'm just saying, we're not afraid to be in the same room together, so I don't know what's going on with y'all.
That sounds like shade. It's getting real shady around here. What's going on right now?
No comment.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. Absolutely glad to have y'all back. But if you don't know what this is All Things Super, where every week we take a piece of superpowered movie, TV, even trailers. We watch them, we react to them, we break them down, and we ask the question, is it super?
Is it?
Maybe.
Was it?
Might be.
Possibly.
Possibly. But if you like that, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes that come out. If you want the audio version of the podcast, just search for All Things Super on your major podcast streaming platforms. And if you want to join in on the conversation, just tweet at us at ATSuperPod.
And we like reading the comments.
And
there it is. There it is. Ain't no secret, Spider. They click the thumbnail. They want to know what it is.
They already know what it is. They see the ladies here. They definitely know what it is.
Oh, so what you saying? They only show up when there's a good movie?
I mean,
They weren't here for Morbius. I'll tell you that.
I'm gonna say Black Adam.
And we were not.
They weren't here for Black Adam either.
They are not putting the work in for these movies that are sub tier.
They weren't here for Man from Toronto.
Oh my God.
Or Toronto is how they said
Oh
it.
yeah, the Man from Toronto.
Yes, sir. If that's any indication of anything, you can continue to keep watching and see what the reactions are.
They were here for the Captain Marvel rewatch.
I mean, that was kind of a have to. It made us.
I have to.
Well, I mean, it was
We were appreciating women.
Women's History Month.
It was women appreciation.
Have your woman feel against your will. We're just trying to appreciate women.
Sure. I agree with Michelle. Y'all made us do that. That was we had to.
We're sorry for forcing you on the show to celebrate women.
I feel like I'm in trouble again.
When are you not in trouble?
Yeah, I feel like I'm in trouble for doing the right thing.
Isn't it what they say? No good deed goes unpunished.
And the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
There you go. But if you didn't already know, like we said, you've seen the thumbnail, you see what the title is. We are reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the final James Gunn directed Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Yeah, and it felt like it too. It felt like he put a wrap with a bow on his trilogy and he let it go. And he let it go.
Drops mic.
And he really
James Gunn has kind of done it again and again. I'm excited to see what he go do for DC.
Oh yeah. And I know we talked about this, and I don't want to get too far into it because this is absolutely not a DC episode. But one of the things that I'm hesitant about is with him being the showrunner or being the figurehead of the now dubbed DC universe. I don't know. Warner Brothers has a history of getting involved in the creative process when it comes to their DC live action movies. So I'm hoping they just allow him the free reign to be creative and do what it is that he does best. Because I mean, I feel like they've done that with the Suicide Squad and with Peacemaker, you can see that both of those properties were really just James Gunn being James Gunn. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they'll let him do what he does, and we'll actually see some quality products coming out of DC.
I thought you said you didn't want to talk about DC.
I said I wasn't going to get
That's
too
it.
into
That's
it.
all into it. Yeah. He's done. He's done his
That's
part.
all. That's all I wanted to say.
That's all you want to get it out. That's fine. Okay.
Guardians of the
That's
Galaxy
all we
Volume
have.
3. All right, let's talk about initial thoughts. We don't need to go through the whole plot, but if of course spoilers, if you already know, you know what it is. We're going to talk about everything.
Man.
But initial thoughts. What do we think about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
I just want to take this opportunity to say we are Groot. So that was different. Groot, the ability to talk now at the end of the movie. Is this something that we're going to continue to understand Groot later on in future films?
I mean,
that was the whole point. Was right. James
So
Gunn said that since we've been with them so long, that now we can understand Groot.
Way to level up a franchise.
I mean, I feel like how else can you
continue the storyline?
No. Not even how else can you continue the storyline. I feel like you going into this film with all the trailers and everything, we talked about this when we were doing our Guardians rewatches, was like, this is going to be an emotional film. We all thought that somebody was going to die. We thought
where do we get that from? Did Eric Voss do that? Did Eric Voss incept was going to die in our mind?
It's not just Voss. It was just the way that the trailer it was the way that the trailer was
done. Yeah.
Don't have Ryan Erie name all over it.
Because they all like say goodbye. So
right.
just took that as someone gonna die.
Well, Rocket did say she's gonna sail off into the forever or something. So there was a lot of implications that somebody wasn't gonna make it.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of fake outs too.
Mm-hmm. There were, and I want to talk about one of those in particular a little bit later.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it.
But no, I was just saying that you have this massive franchise. I think they said that they had 7 appearances before Volume 3. But you have, I feel like we have not followed a group of characters more closely than we've followed Guardians of the Galaxy. We've seen Tony Stark as an individual across several properties. Right. We've seen Thor, we've seen Doctor Strange, all these individuals, but the Guardians have always been a group. And how else can you, like we said, James Gunn just kind of put a bow on it, just put a stamp on it, say, here, this is my, masterpiece. I've perfected it, wrapped it up. But to have Groot or have the audience involved in now being a part of Groot's family or Groot's loved ones, or even just the Guardians family, to where now we understand them. And it's like, I would have never thought of that. I don't think anybody would have thought of that, but I feel like that's just perfect, because that's like as high of level of you can get of being connected with this franchise. I don't really feel like any other franchise has involved the audience in that kind of way, and I think that's really innovative, and I thought it was pretty cool.
So how many years has it been?
Since 2014, so 9 years.
9 years. So there you go. It takes 9 years for you to understand a Floridian. There you go. You got to be immersed.
Not necessarily that it takes 9 years, but
10 years.
It takes. We weren't always around them, so it may have gone a lot quicker had we, been traveling with the Guardians the whole entire time.
Not on Peter's ship. Nah, that's not the. We already know that's not the cleanest place.
No,
so,
not at all.
Are we going to get into it now, since we're talking about Mr. Quill?
Let's talk about it.
Okay, how in the world is Peter alive?
I don't know. He should have died.
Okay, so he should have died.
Yes,
There's
no scientific
why he should still be alive after what happened in space.
I was okay with him dying there. I was like, okay, he's gonna be dead. Cool, whatever.
I was like, no, they are not going to kill him, Star-Lord, like this.
My preparation was, I thought for sure Rocket was gonna die.
Yes.
I was prepared for that. I was boohoo crying. But when I saw Peter starting to become unalive, I was pissed off. I was mad. I was like, I know God me to see Star-Lord like this. No, we're not going out like this. I was legitimate. I looked at Frankie. I was like, ain't no way. I'm mad. I was done. Like, I was like, no, he's just deserving of a death with more. Like, it just wasn't, it didn't feel right. But at the same time, I was like, is it because he's a god? So I was asking Frankie, like, how is this? Like, what's going on?
If anything, in Guardians 1, we had the question of how was he able to survive, because they mentioned in Guardians 1 when Gamora was floating out in space, her cybernetic enhancements kept her alive longer than any normal human would.
Yeah.
And
We
then,
also discussed that on All Things Super for those who want to go back and watch those Guardian rewatches. Cha-ching! I can just hear the money coming in. I can hear it. Hello?
So we're also wondering how Peter was able to survive in space because he didn't have his mask, and then of course how he was able to hold an Infinity Stone. We get the reveal at the end of Guardians 1 that he's not just human; he has something else mixed in with him. We see in Guardians 2 that is because he's a child of a Celestial. He has that Celestial light, but he loses the connection to the Celestial light. But does he still have celestial genes that allows him to live longer than a normal human?
This is the questions that we are asking right now, because there's no way. We already seen in Guardians 2 when they were throwing the Ravengers out of the air locker, they died. We also seen Thor in space and not die. Not only did he not die, he didn't freeze up.
No, he didn't.
So that just gives you a little
up like a chipmunk.
So what's keeping him alive? And a double entendre question, where is his helmet?
I don't know. He didn't have it on once this movie.
He didn't have it on at all. Did he lose it in the holiday special?
No, he didn't have it in the holiday special. I don't think you really had it in 2 either.
I don't recall his helmet getting broken, and it's not even a helmet that he would carry.
He had it in Infinity War. He also had it in Endgame. I think that was the last time we saw it was in Endgame.
I think so, yeah.
And nowhere along the line did we get a helmet malfunctioning or breakage. James Gunn.
I just want to go on record to say that I care more about these characters than I do about Carol Danvers. That's all. That's it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, but it did. I really did. I really did. I really did enjoy this movie. So, for the record, raccoons scare the hell out of me. I think they're disgusting. But this movie had me rooting and wanting to hug and kiss on raccoons. That's how good it was. Like, they really took it there. It was very emotional.
Were we
like a very good way?
Were we getting Toy Story with the High Evolutionary Batch 89?
Like Celestial?
No, I don't think.
Oh, you're talking
about Sid. No, Sid was just.
No, it's
but they were alive.
Toy Story with the animals. Like how Sid would make the Sid would make the animals like that.
Yeah, that's
and
what I'm
then
saying.
the animals were.
Again, too?
Eyebrows, dude.
No, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the actual character
Sid.
But I'm talking about the actual character Sid. No, Sid was just sadistic. I don't think the High Evolutionary
is pretty.
I don't think.
Come on,
no, but
where's this scale that you're gauging
what I'm
from,
saying
my
is that
guy?
there was no rhyme or reason as to why Sid did the things that he did. I think he just wanted to be destructive and a High Evolutionary. He had a purpose. It was awful, his purpose and the way that he went about it, but he had intent behind what it was that he was trying to do, and I don't think Sid had any intent.
So he's all grown up now with purpose.
Yeah, he's all grown up with a purpose and black.
Your motivation is you want more motivation. That's what I'm getting from this.
Yeah. He killed an entire planet full of beings.
Yeah, like, he did not care at all.
On a whim! On a whim!
Given 0.
He's like, you know what? You're right. Shut it down.
Right. It was kind of, because we see the Counter Earth and we see how they're all kind of stuck in the 80s, and so we're like, okay, did he envision that the 80s were like the perfect time to be on
Who said
Earth?
it was the 80s? Maybe that's
was the cars.
Maybe he started it in the
clothing.
60s and it evolved on its own.
I mean,
I
that's
think it
also
felt very
possible.
stuck.
But I
So
was
it could have been, kind of earth from maybe we just got there and they were in their 80s phase.
that's possible.
Mm.
But I know
So.
just them driving through the street and kind of going from the suburb and then kind of transitioning to the more rundown part of town. It was like, oh, I thought this was supposed to be like a perfect utopia for
Utopia.
these beings, and like what's going on into why
Evolution.
yeah, I mean, it really
Society,
is, and I think
society.
because that's what that's what he said. He's like, Earth will be, a utopia. It would be a great place if it wasn't for all the bigotry and selfishness and everything. And you wonder if that is a natural progression for sentient beings.
Or he couldn't figure out how to get it out of this being.
Because he ain't no rocket.
He's not a rocket.
Oh, loving you.
I really enjoyed how he played the High Evolutionary. I didn't know a lot about the High Evolutionary going into the movie, but what's the word I'm looking for? The obsession that he had as when Rocket figured out that equation and he couldn't, and that like broke him. The fact that, because it was never, you don't really see villains in the MCU sort of get out of sorts like that. Like, he was drunk and like out of his mind because he just could not understand how Rocket could figure something out that he couldn't. He's like, I made you. So how, he was like, what is it about you that you figure this out?
And not just that, it's just, I think it was more too that Rocket didn't meet this aesthetic that he had in his mind of what a perfect being would look like.
Right.
That drove him mad too. Like, you look like this, but this is not what I'm going for. He's very diva. He's a very diva.
Yes, absolutely. when Star-Lord came in there, he just sitting at his desk. I don't know what he's doing. But he just has his finger up. Like, really?
He need a cape.
Very diva. Very diva. But it was, and I think he really, I felt that the way the actor was portraying that, it was not so much, I get you, I made you, but you look like this. Not my envision for what the perfect race would be, but here you are solving this problem that I myself. So it kind of took you to that place of like where his mind was. He really did a good job of like that, where he had that break. Like, we're no longer playing nice, and we're no longer like the big bad came out. I think he did a great job of like, oh shit, it's about to go all the way down now. And so he really did a good job of like showing you how that whole situation just broke him. His mind split. And then, but like you, I really love the way he portrayed this character. And say, like you, I didn't know anything about him, but I felt like this was a well-deserved big bad. Like, I felt like very afraid. Like, this is a terrorist. He's about to terrorize everybody.
We know Mr. Ouija was killing it from Peacemaker.
Yeah. And he was only in what, like half the season?
There you go. It don't take long for them to start to steal a scene. Okay, I'm just gonna throw that out there. Here's a question, a couple of questions. One, how evolutionary making the ultimate person starting from raw animal DNA? Think about it. He started with animals, but he merged all the way up to children, or at least putting this concoction inside of children to a point where they mutate or interesting.
I don't even know what they had in the kids at that point.
Yeah, but we saw at the end with the post-credit scene, what's her name?
From her hand.
Yeah. She had powers coming from her hand and her eye glow. So again, not far-fetched, because he made Adam Warlock in the MCU, which is another humanoid
type.
I mean,
So he's going to really try to make the perfect person. Side question: are we seeing similar tech with Kane the Conqueror's suit and the high evolutionary anti-gravity suits as well. Do
I
these guys
mean,
know each other?
it's quite possible. You know
It's a
that
Kane variant.
it could be a king variant.
Oh, wow.
Everybody's a king variant these days. But
Everybody.
it's
Everybody but Jonathan Majors.
allegedly.
Allegedly.
But
okay, until
we know that Kang is a man that seeks knowledge. And you would imagine that as his travels taking him across time and space, at some point I think he would have come across a high evolutionary.
there you go. So
I can
you think
see
the high
them.
evolutionary took his suit, or he was like high evolutionary? Let me
I don't think
break you off with this.
If Kang thought that the high evolutionary posed a threat to him, then the high evolutionary would be dead.
God damn, man. Shit. God damn.
I think that, I mean, even he said that he put, I forget the exact way that he phrased it, but basically saying he took his, after Rocket had escaped, he took his obsessions with what he was doing with them, and he said he placed that energy into whatever he was doing, and now gravity bends at his whim. So the way he said it, he made it seem like he was able to figure it out all on his own. So, but it's not to say that he didn't have any kind of influence from meeting Kang.
They're best buddies.
Best buddies.
The besties.
But I mean, it's
Is that
quite
my
possible.
bestie and a Tessie? Oh, I'm sorry. Everybody loves Sweetie. I'm just saying there has to be a connection there some way. If not, if he figured out on his own, it's just convenient and coincidental that his suit is actually purple as well. So I'm pretty sure, you know, these armors, because it's armor-ish, come in standard colors. So having your face ripped off by an American raccoon, it's not the way to go to prom. It's not how you want to start your date night at all.
No.
Clearly, High Evolutionary did not have a companion of sorts. He wouldn't have been that worked up. But
it was giving Darth Vader taking his mask off. It was just bad. I did not think from that scene that Rocket tore him apart that bad.
I didn't
his
either.
jaw, like it was missing a whole cartilage and a bone for me. Like it was like just open. It was just so strange that he ripped his face off. Not what I was expecting when they took that thing off. I thought maybe, you know, little cosmetic scratches, but Rocket went in. Like I didn't realize it was that bad. I was shocked. It had shock factor.
You were shocked? Spider and I talked about this early on when we started doing All Things Super. When Disney acquired Marvel, we had a conversation and we were saying there's no possible way they're going to be able to entertain these characters if they don't go darker. Since then, we've seen so many decapitations, burnings, this is our first official F-bomb movie.
Yeah.
And it came out of nowhere.
It was hilarious.
James Gunn told him you can use it wherever you want, and Chris Pratt decided right there was the perfect time.
Perfect. Absolute perfect placement. I'm so mad because I had that spoiled for me. I saw a clip of it unintentionally. I came across it, and
so I stay off the internet.
I know, and I'm normally good about it, but I wish I hadn't seen it. But even that being said, it was still funny. It was still just as funny seeing it the second time in the film. But just absolute that it could not have been delivered better.
Better. I agree.
How do we feel about Gamora actually coming back but not staying?
I actually was happy. Like at the end when I saw that they were all hugging, I thought maybe for sure she might have a change of heart. But then when she went with the Ravagers, and I realized like she had her own family, her own tribe, her own people. Yeah. I think that gave me a little bit of solace because I don't feel as bad, and it kind of set the tone for like this is not the Gamora and Quill that we've known. And the fact that they were giving googly eyes, Quill and
Nebula.
I'm sorry. Like they had their
those
little
puppy
moments,
dog eyes.
I can get with this. This might be something for.
Isn't there
I mean,
a
Quill was
Guardians of
open
the?
to it. Talking about
But
kids
isn't
out
that
get some beautiful eyes.
Yeah.
isn't there a
Like,
universal law, a sister code or something like that? You don't date.
I don't think Gamora
I mean,
gives a
it's
flying
different
F
Gamora.
I know,
what
it's different
goes
Gamora.
on.
So
Yeah.
technically, that Gamora never dated Quill. So
Never dated for so
Ooh, y'all
she
should be
got the
some
green light.
lawyers. These loopholes.
Green light. I thought, like when I it was a pair that I didn't even think about, and I was like, I can get with that. That might be really cool to see because it's a different Nebula as well.
yeah,
And
She is different.
I really enjoy.
She is very, very Guardians now. And I was talking to Keisha about this. Without her having the revenge to take down her father, you've seen a softer side of Nebula. We
Right.
saw her dance twice now. Remember, it was a struggle to play football, paper football with Tony Stark. It was a struggle. She punched the football out. Yeah. She's like, no, you just got to hold your position.
right. And even
And now,
even with Tony telling her, it's like, you won, congratulations. And you see, like, I think that was the beginning of it, because that was the
Right.
first time that I think that she felt that she didn't have to fight, but she was still able to, in her eyes, win. And I think that that kind of led her, because she could have easily, once Captain Marvel rescued them and brought them back to Earth, she could have easily,
When
just
did her
left
own
and
thing.
been around, did her own thing. But she stuck around with Rocket, and we see that how important they are to each other, because they spent the most time together. The rest of the Guardians were gone, but Nebula and Rocket were the only ones left. And so we saw in the holiday special where Nebula got Rocket Bucky's arm. Still don't know how the hell that happened. I'm still. I guess we have to wait
I've
until
been waiting to see.
we gotta wait until the Thunderbolts to see what happened.
Right?
Bucky has
Plus,
a
he
new
owed me
arm.
$5. Huh? Oh,
But so we saw in the holiday special where Nebula got Rocket Bucky's arm, and it's been confirmed that Rocket is the one that built Nebula's new arm. As we see, it's now nanotech. So clearly, Rocket picked up some stuff from Tony while he was on Earth. But when Nebula heard Rocket's voice after they saved him, how she was about to break down. Like, she was so elated that he survived.
Can Nebula cry?
I don't know.
Just chew on that for a little
this
bit.
movie really humanized her in a lot of ways, though. Very much different from the previous movies, and in other movies she appeared. She was very. They did a good job.
Murderous.
She was very murderous. She tried to run Gamora over in a spaceship, and she also tried to run Thanos over in a spaceship.
Very murderous.
She's over too on trying to kill people with spaceships. I just realized that.
Not the weapon of choice.
No.
But when she killed herself, I think that was when we saw the end of the old Gamora. Well, when she came back, because she got tortured again. Here's the thing. We've had, like Spider said, this long list of storytelling, which only brings us closer to the character. This is why we don't give two craps about Moon Knight, because we didn't have enough.
Never.
Leave that lady alone.
I'm just saying, the more time we get with the characters, it's that much more impactful.
Right.
But at the same time, how is their story being told over time? Spider and I talked about this on another show. Spider-Man: Homecoming, Far From Home, Never Home Alone, Go Home Again, Around the Corner from Home, Put Your Bike in Front of the House, was an origin story in a sense, because we saw it play out over multiple movies.
Yeah.
I think
Basics.
I think what Guardians of the Galaxy has going forward with what no other trilogy in the MCU has is that they've had the same director for all of their movies, even with the holiday special. James Gunn has been the one at the helm the entire time.
Hold on. The Spider-Man Home Skillet had the same director for its whole duration as well. 1, 2, and 3 at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that that's what Guardians.
You're saying there ain't no
we were
James
saying
Gunn.
that.
That's what you're saying.
What
I
I'm
got
saying
you.
is that we see that these.
Challenge.
You have your Spider-Man trilogy. You have your Guardians trilogy. Those are probably the most beloved trilogies. Like, as far as, some people say, oh, okay, well, Far From Home was kind of, blah, whatever. Some say that Guardians
How
2
dare they?
was kind of blah. But
how dare they?
If you look at the critics review or the critic score of these movies, these are probably the most well-reviewed franchises out of the entire MCU. And I think that is because we have the consistency. You can take a director. We look at what happened with Doctor Strange versus Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and how
I don't want
to, and how extremely different those two movies are, and it just you detract from the character, and I think that when you do that, I don't know, it leaves something to be desired for the franchise. So I think that, you look at Thor versus Thor the Dark World, and then Thor Ragnarok, and then going into Thor Love and Thunder, how the highs and lows of that character and how differently he's portrayed. And it's like, even with the last two, with Taika Waititi directing, he didn't write Thor Ragnarok, but he wrote Thor Love and Thunder, and we can see how heavy-handed he was with the comedy in Thor Love and Thunder, and how it just kind of, just went a little bit too far, and it too far in one direction and not far enough in the other.
So what are you saying, Spider? Are you saying it's better to have the consistency with the same director, or it isn't better to have the consistency with the same director?
It absolutely is. But I think that what Taika was doing with Thor was that he was trying to recreate the character rather than having the character made his own from the beginning. So I think that's just kind of the downfall of that portion of it, was that he took something where it was beloved because, and we kind of talked about this, was the success of Thor Ragnarok solely because of how much people didn't like Thor the Dark World?
I don't know if they like Thor that much.
It's also true.
But at the same time, he stripped it down and like all the way, he cut the hair, he changed the look.
Right.
He merged Planet Hulk storyline was one of the most popular storylines in Marvel history. So he didn't take the whole thing, but he stole elements from it and put Thor in the fish out of water situation, introduced two characters, Grandmaster and Valkyrie, with some supporting characters underneath that, with the Grandmaster's assistant, and then Valkyrie, Korg for Valkyrie, even Hulk, and merged them. We had a whole little, and Loki was there doing Loki stuff. Thor Love and Thunder, no Loki, not a whole lot going on, reoccurring characters, nothing to do.
Russell Crowe.
In a dress, a skirt, Tinkers. He was in something that wasn't pants. But I understand what you're saying. You have an opportunity to be consistent,
right?
But if you're not really sure, we don't know. Maybe Disney was rushing Tyga, and because I heard in interviews he was saying we're still working on the script, and they're like, "Hey, you're like 4 weeks in shooting," and he was like, "This is how these things go." So, like, we watched Disney Plus shows, and they were still doing the script and still recording, trying to rush it to editing, which Marvel is now saying that they're not doing anymore. They're saying they're going to take a more story-driven approach and slow down with content. James Gunn didn't need to do this. This script was actually written right after
Guardians 2.
Hey, that's what happens when you do your homework early, kids. Get to go out and make other stuff for other production companies. Hey, he came back and made some minor details and just like, let's go. And the holiday special just to get enough to keep you titillating, wanting more. Like, what? And we talked about that with some nice, juicy reveals. And how about this for a reveal? nowhere can move. It is no longer in the same spot. You can now drive nowhere. You can just be a
Not
head,
drive.
be a hand just bobbling in space.
You
with an eye
would
that
imagine,
can shoot.
depending on how long that they were in nowhere, because we never really got a frame of reference as to how long they were stationed on nowhere, because we started the holiday special with them already being there. But you give Rocket enough time, the dude can do anything.
Hey, next time we see nowhere, it might have skin and a neck on it.
I really enjoyed how they depicted how smart he was. I'm thinking when Frankie and I were talking, I'm thinking back, I knew that he could fix and repair and build things, you know what I mean? But this movie really emphasized how brilliant he was. I had to think back to he really was he's really smart. He's left with the ship. He's repairing it. He's building weapons. He's very intelligent, and I like the way they depicted that because I think not that I forgot or I didn't know, but it just brought it to more of an awareness for me of how, because I was somebody's at the rocket, you know what I mean? When the movie first started, and then going back, thinking back, trying to recollect, and I'm like, oh yeah, this makes sense, and it was really good to see that they depicted that really, really well. So yeah, but. Very good movie. Nowhere was very to see it move, come in, looking like a pirate ship, just the telescope just zooming in. It was very good. It was all really, really good. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Some subtle Easter eggs sprinkled all throughout the movie. We had the throwback of when Rocket and the Guardians was in the kiln in the first one. One of the biggest criticisms that all the fans made, us included, was why in the hell did they shoot at one window, then the other window, then the other window, instead of shooting at one time? We didn't have that issue this time.
No, not at all.
And they took the opportunity to det that noise right there. So when they were all in there and they were shooting at I said, oh, they're shooting at all the windows now. We have elevated and we know to hurry up to get out these situations. And goodness, good thing it worked out for them. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
It was gruesome.
Well, speaking again, they got so dark. We seen Adam Warlock decapitate the piggy android, robot, synthezoid. What are we calling them?
I don't know I didn't feel as much because they weren't technically human, but they were killing a lot of beings.
Yes.
You can never get away with that with a human being, but at the same time, they have to be. This is why writers like to tell their story out of space, because there's only so much you could do on the planet Earth that they'll let you get away with. But I can punch an alien in the face.
I can rip the head off of a human looking alien as long as we put the adjective that's
he can't have red blood, but he can have polka dot blood, and that's just
oil. That's blood.
Right. Wanda came through just destroying centuries. I mean, hey, it's a great storytelling.
She did
gotta be able to tell us
Captain Carter in half though.
You didn't see any blood though. You also didn't see any blood on Shuri when she got stabbed, impaled.
Because that was just stupid. We saw blood on Captain America's shield after John Walker caved that dude head in.
Oh my God. Let's not go.
And here's the thing. That's what I'm saying. They give you small little, like to test the water. Like to test the water. And now we have multiple decapitations. Thanos, this little piggy guy. You saw the High Evolutionary's face, which is, again, there are kids in the audience.
Yes.
I didn't like how much they... Because I feel like with James Gunn, he's great at writing jokes. But every now and then he goes a little bit too hard into one joke, and it kind of stops being funny.
But what joke was that? Spider name it out.
The amount of time that they try to tell Quill that it was a trap, and he's like, "No, it's not a trap. It's a face-off. It's not a trap. It's a face-off. It's not a trap. It's a face-off." So I knew at some point the High Evolutionary's his face was going to come off.
Yeah, I was hoping they just took the high road, like Michelle Obama saying, not pull his face off. That is not what they did, though. They pulled it off, and then when they pulled it
Gamora
off, I
was
didn't
just
know they
like
were going to
so
show it.
nonchalant about it. Like she saw like his
Well,
skin kind of flat, or the skin covering, because I don't want to say that was actually his skin, but saw it kind of flapping, and she just reached
it was
up and
kind of thick.
just took it off.
Is that kind of blackface? I'm just checking. I'm asking for a friend.
No, I don't
He's not
think
black.
black people can wear
Do
blackface.
blackface.
Okay.
That's
So
how
But it
that
was
works.
still his face. It just wasn't his natural face.
Yeah.
So
But it was
clearly,
kind of
clearly, his high evolutionariness is not smart enough to figure out how to fix his face.
Right.
Right.
I'm a plastic surgeon, okay?
Yeah, you just covering up some.
He's a
that's just
biochemist,
cover-up.
not a plastic surgeon.
Plastic surgeon, all right? Like skin grafting and all that. He just nobody has time for that. He
No
tried
wonder he need rocket brain.
Right.
Right?
You are not the guy.
I had him looking 20 years old younger. You know what I mean?
Probably with a real techno face.
Yeah.
But I know,
That's what he did for Nebula.
I know we talked about, you know, the development and the sort of humanization of Nebula, but I just feel like, and I didn't think that this could be possible, but we got just such a complete story arc for every single character. Like we talked about, because Keisha, I'm the same way as you know, I was, when they were getting those final moments and we saw Quill and Gamora together, I was like, oh, is she going to stay? Because she was like, I bet we were fun. And he was like, you have no idea. So I thought, I was like, oh, maybe she's going to stay. But then she didn't. I was like, you know what? I think it is better that she went back to the Ravagers. And when you saw how they were celebrating with her and how happy she was with them, it was like, that is where she belongs. That is where that Gamora belongs. And, you know, even though it was kind of like a cheesy 80s sitcom where every, you know, body story gets wrapped up in the end, so like, you know, it was a Breakfast Club type thing. You know, everybody goes their separate ways, but everybody has their happy ending. But everybody just, I don't know how he was able to balance out everybody's story throughout the entire movie to where it seemed like everybody got an equal share of their development. Even, you know, with Mantis and Drax, we saw, you know, Drax, of course they were Drax the dad instead of Drax the Destroyer, but we saw them kind of take the center stage in the holiday special. And I think that kind of lent into us being able to see them for more than, you know, Drax as the dry comedic, you know, the comedic talent, and just kind of, you know, the not knowing the metaphors, and him going, I know many metaphors and analogies.
Many.
Gamora is like a lily pad because she's green. But just seeing that relationship and how much it has grown just between the two of them. And it's not that they, you know, the story was focused on them because it was really about Peter and about Rocket, but how Drax and Mantis were interweaved into the whole thing. And even, you know, we just got introduced to Cosmo as an actual character in the holiday special.
Who is not a bad dog.
Who is not a bad
dog.
Don't you dare say it. Don't you say it.
And this is what I mean when I say that, you know, James Gunn, the jokes that he leans into them, and sometimes they land, but then sometimes they don't. Every time we came back to Kraglin and Cosmo, and Cosmo was just begging him to take that back, I'm not a bad dog, and Kraglin was just like, nope, not gonna take it back. It was funny every single time, and it was like, just please take it back, tell her she's a good dog. And then at the end, in the payoff, it was just, I felt like it was so worth it. And I feel like James Gunn is a master at those type of things. But even with those two, and how for most of the movie, we don't even see them because, of course, they're on nowhere, just kind of holding it down. When they come back in the end, and Kraglin finds it within himself, and he uses the Yaka arrow, and he's basically doing, you know, as well as Yondu was. And we see Cosmo using her, you know, telekinesis. Just holding down a whole damn ship. And it's just like, you feel for these characters, and we haven't even spent more than like 10 consecutive minutes with either one of them.
More than Cal Denver. Yep, I know the feeling.
Where's Fury?
I think the way everything ended for me, it felt like I could see everybody kind of going on. I like that. Like I felt like it was not a definite ending. The people I thought were gonna die were alive, great, but it felt like I could imagine Gamora going off with the Ravagers. I could imagine like everybody had an ending to where it could go on. The story just went on in my head. It didn't feel like a definite hard stop, which I felt was really good because sometimes it doesn't always feel naturally that way. But it felt very natural the way he ended things. It felt like I can make up whatever story I need now and it would still work with how they ended things for each character. And everybody, like you said, had their own time, had enough time the way he did it to where, because you saw her being reluctant to be with them. You saw Gamora sitting there, telling what's their names? The gold people. I'm sorry. The sovereigns, that where she was to come get her. You saw and then actually sticking around and becoming a part of this, but then still turning around and leaving. And I really felt good about where she ended and where she landed, and I felt like where everybody else landed. And I was hoping, even seeing Quill just having cereal with his grandpa was a good ending. Like it was just very solid endings that could go wherever. And sometimes it's not always that. Like now with the conversations after the movie, we're like, where are we going next?
Right.
Like what's happening next with this and this and that? And it's not just like with the
over to DC,
with like all the it's like we're questioning where all these characters are. And I've never been at the end of a movie where I'm questioning where every single person will be next. Like where do we go? Versus a most it's like what are they gonna do next? What are the Avengers gonna do? But each individual had their own path, and it was like I am so curious to see where everybody goes, whether it's Disney Plus movies or another movie or however. It's just like I'm so curious and I'm ready because of the way, and it could go either way. Everybody could get a spinoff, and I'm okay with that. That's how it ended. Like they all deserve their own shows. Like I'm good with that.
And that just goes to show you the professionalism of James Gunn, because after the controversy that happened, he could have burned him and killed all the whole crew. And he was like, about get you on the DC side, bitches. Hey, shout out to Michael Rooker for showing up as Yondu.
For 2 seconds.
Yeah, just to show you exactly why.
Yeah.
Wow. And then he smiled, and I was like, okay.
How long he had to sit in hair and makeup to get painted blue just to stand there for 2 seconds and hear a voiceover.
And it is like Keisha said, because all these characters, you are wondering where they're going, because they said the legendary Star-Lord will return. Great.
That was it.
But we all know that Dave Bautista says he's done with the character, and I think Gamora actress Zoe Saldana says she's done with her character, right? So will we not
speak language? I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Will we not see that team ever come together again? Here's what we learn. All these actors and actresses that say they're done with their character no one's really gone. Except Uncle Ben.
Forever.
Unless
there's somebody looking at a call sheet and like they want you to play Uncle Ben. It's like, God damn.
Yeah. I would imagine that there's a variant in some universe where Uncle Ben survived.
There's a variant in some universes where Uncle Ben.
There's a universe where there's a universe where Uncle Ben is Spider-Man.
Is Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Took the words out of my mouth because I was just about to say the same thing.
But as far as that group coming back together again, I don't think we will. I don't think we'll see that group again. Because we have a new Guardians of the Galaxy. So if they were to say the Guardians of the Galaxy will return, that would be the new group. That would be Rocket and Groot and Kraglin and Cosmo, Adam Warlock, and then Phyla. And Blurp.
At some point, Peter Quill's going to come back.
It's more creatures than like humanoids.
I know,
in the Guardians now.
Give them
and
some
but I mean, technically it was more aliens than, because Quill was the only like human.
Yeah.
Where's Mantis going?
Mantis is
doing her own thing
with her battery eating creatures.
That That's a show I'd want to see.
Right?
Like, I'm telling you right now, that's a show I'd want to see. The way she was like, we're out.
And see,
they were just
like
destroying
I was saying,
everything.
That's just another thing, and it's just that how everybody got their own little time to shine. Like we see, we know from Guardians 2, the opening scenes in Guardians 2, that it took all of the Guardians to take down that one creature, and it was like, well, shit, it's Mantis, Drax, and Nebula. What are they gonna do with 3 of them? And for the most empathetic person of Mantis, who can feel everyone else's feelings, for her to be like, they're scared of us. They're scared of what we're going to do to them. They eat batteries, not people. And for her, for them to come riding out on them, it is like, it's so simple and it makes so much sense, but it's so impactful because it's not just about the fighting. It's not just about the action. It's not just about the explosions. I think that Guardians has always been about the heart and
family.
So it's been about
family.
Oh, family. I am Groot.
But it's just, and going back and rewatching these before watching Guardians 3, we get to see how all of those connections are made, because there's something that's lost when you're waiting, 2 and 3 years in between films. So you kind of forget about, all of the subtle moments. You remember the big things, but you forget about the little subtle moments. And so one of the things that I just enjoy is just Rocket's attitude over the entire trilogy, where he's kind of crass, he's kind of rough in the first one. We get to the end of the first movie where they're creating their plan about how they're going to stop Ronan, and we see Rocket being selfless. We see him protecting the Xandarians. We get into Guardians 2 and we see Rocket coming back to make sure that he saves Quill, because they find out that Ego is a murdering maniac, and him stopping Gamora for going back for Quill, because she's like, if Quill's gonna die, I can't lose you too. He's like, I basically say, I'm sorry, I can only afford to lose one friend today. And the Guardian special, even though we didn't get to see a lot of Rocket, but we still get to see that connection between him and Nebula. Even in I Am Groot, we get to see his little relationship with Baby Groot. Baby Groot drew the picture, and he was like, oh yeah, we got to put this on a refrigerator, and as James Gunn mentioned, what a lot of people didn't realize is that Rocket has been the protagonist throughout this entire trilogy. And we get to see all of that come together, because if there is no Rocket, the entire team sort of falls apart. And we see everyone
they would have never got out of prison.
They would have never gotten out of prison. They would have all still been there. But we see that everyone comes together because Rocket is the lifeblood of the Guardians, and they have to save them, because if they don't save him, they're done for. But I do like the subtle joke where every time Quill was like, I have to save my best friend, you hear Drax in the background, second best friend.
Second best friend. I love Drax's delusional state. I want to be in that state all the time. The confidence, illusion. I know lots of metaphors, all the time. I just would love to live in that state. I think
you really think I'm stupid?
Forget.
Yes, we say.
Mantis used her powers in an inappropriate way, but yet and still, I won't say that she does not love them. Her Guardian brethren, though, because clearly she was shook up when it was time to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the growth of her character, because it is true. It kind of felt like I knew what she did, but in this movie I kind of really appreciated her powers a lot more. Yeah, when she was battling Ego and she was trying to help them, and but it was just I guess it just brought a different side of her in this one. I don't know, something about it just made me feel like, I want to follow you. Where are you going?
Right.
What's going on? And she's way more powerful than I thought she was too, which is another thing that I didn't realize that I noticed. To see her
actually fight.
Yeah, she's badass.
She's like a Professor X that fights.
Yeah.
Right. What do we think about that hallway fight scene, where everyone came together?
Listen, it's clear that your friend, Mr. Dirty Draws Daredevil himself, the punk of Hell's Kitchen, kind of christened the fight scene in the hallways. And since then,
The hate,
we have been
the
What
hate coming
hate? What are
from
you
the
talking
two of
about?
you.
He was in
These
a dumpster. Are you gonna tell me his
He was in a
dungarees
dumpster.
aren't dirty?
One episode. You think that the man
dumpster
hasn't taken
hero.
a shower since episode 2 of Daredevil?
I don't watch him like that. I can't answer that
I
The
do
question.
man
not
had
care.
4 seasons.
Huh?
Mm.
Did he?
Did he?
And he was
he's
in
not
She-Hulk.
super.
He's clearly changed his clothes since then.
Yeah, so what I'm saying was that
Haters.
Do not acknowledge that.
clearly
Got bored watching it.
Wow.
what? Daredevil? What's that you say, Michelle?
I got bored after the
Thank
first
you.
2 second episode.
Dumpster fire, baby.
Not successfully watched a full episode of Daredevil. Like the first thing I looked at, like, why is asking? What?
Oh.
I'm like, no, I'm good. I literally
He's
got up
giving
and left.
us
I
a
have not.
Y'all
cameo.
have no
But
compassion
his own
for.
show's just boring.
Y'all have no
What?
compassion for
It's very
just
boring.
characters that have humanity.
His
Humanity.
cameo was fine. When he was in She-Hulk, it was fine and all that.
It was.
His own show's just boring.
Yeah.
Trash hero. So if he's known for anything, he's known for that hallway scene, trying to hold up his whole career. So now everybody has to step up their hallway scene. We've seen it in The Mandalorian where we had the hallway with the barriers. We didn't understand why the barriers was
Yeah,
there.
that didn't make sense at all.
Yeah, and John Wick had his little hallway kind of ish scene with the stairs. No hallway, but I got it.
A very open hallway.
Tight corridor areas, like you could step this way off camera and be okay. But now the Guardians have come with theirs, and it was badass. Did you see that?
It was.
Groot's just doing his thing, and then Rocket ran up his arm, and then that was a nice little aerial shot. But then Peter, you actually seen him putting the little electrocution tags on guys, and
Mhm.
it's like, is it a bomb? When are you gonna? Then right at the end, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, you're waiting for the theatrics. Don't know where your helmet is though.
I
If you
looked it
guys
up.
know,
Apparently he left it in the because he was in a hurry to say Rocket.
is that what the internet has said?
That's
That's
James
what
Gunn
James
is
Gunn
saying.
I can't argue with James
James
Gunn.
Gunn has said that his helmet is in a drawer and nowhere.
Well, at least somebody
Wow.
did ask the question.
Yeah.
See, we
I
asked
was
the real questions
wondering.
about all things super.
All
We're trying to
things
get to the
super.
bottom of things.
Bring it. What? There you go. The director said it. You cannot disagree with it or agree with it. It has been said.
Yeah.
Funny how it didn't play a part in this movie, especially since it was attached to his anatomy. But okay, we'll
I mean,
let it
he
slide.
can take it off. We saw him take it off and give it to Gamora.
Mm-hmm.
And he went like this and took it off and gave it to her. You're absolutely right. So I would think it's like leaving the house without your keys. You wouldn't go far.
I mean, he was
It's like-
well, because technically, like you said, he got drunk. So when Adam Warlock came to nowhere, he had to jump out of bed and jump into action, and it kind of
my
all
guy,
fell apart after
My
that.
guy, you live in space. You're gonna leave out your house without your space suit?
Apparently, he did,
Just-
and that's why he almost
Just by the all
died.
chance. Yeah, man.
If he would have
Somebody's
had
gonna
it,
have to
if he
explain
would have
that
had it, he
one.
would have been fine.
Has James Gunn explained why he didn't die?
I don't know.
I
Yeah,
don't
he's not
think
taking
so.
those questions, so is he? You take that to DC with him. But it's fine.
The last thing that I want to ask, because Guardians of the Galaxy is known for its diegetic music, right? You have movies where you have music is happening as far as the soundtrack of the movie, but you will see, characters reacting to the music when there's no actual music playing in the scene. But Guardians has always been very forward about if anyone is going to be reacting to music, it's going to be because music is actually playing. And so anytime that there was a scene where the soundtrack kicked in and we're actually listening to these songs, it's because somebody's playing it over a loudspeaker, they're playing it over a radio. We saw that when Gamora was trying to pilot the Bowie, when she turned everything on, the first thing that came on was the music. And
Yeah.
how do we feel about the soundtrack of Guardians Volume 3 as compared to the soundtracks of the other two?
I like 1 and 2 better. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I was gonna say if I had to rate them, it's on the bottom of the list, like the third. It was mid at best.
Oh wow.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it was mid. I put maybe like number 2. I wouldn't put number 1.
Yeah, I think for me it would probably be, if I was ranking them, first would be 1, second would be 3, third would be 2.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would when No Sleep Till Brooklyn came on and they were in the hallway, I got hyped.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, we have definitely.
But I also give them mad respect for ending it on Come and Get Your Love, which what they started with Guardians 1, so they brought it back full circle.
I disagree. I don't think they should have took that approach. I think they should have left that for Quill, because that was the one for Quill, not for the Guardians.
But like we said, it's not Quill's story, it's Rocket's story.
It's not. I enjoyed it. I think.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's not Rocket's song. They should have played the Guardians theme.
It became
This is the new
Rocket's
Guardians
song.
of the Galaxy.
They had a new.
So you gonna let the little trash panda just Steve, huh? Is that what's going on?
Wow, call him a trash panda.
He's a cute trash panda.
He's a raccoon.
No, be honest.
First of all, his best friend called him a trash panda. So I think
they weren't best friends at that point.
Oh, okay. There was a flashback of them flying in this situation with jetpacks.
Yeah.
What's up?
I kind of like how they were going about it too. Like since a lot of they had the player and they're going through the different eras.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was really like a callback to like everything they brought us through from 1, 2, and 3, kind of like that whole era. And I like that. I think it was good. I think it was very tasteful. I like that they did a callback to the Quill song from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. So I enjoyed that. I really did. I liked it. I think it was very good. But in terms of music, I think 1 and 2 were probably better for me, for sure. But it wasn't bad, but it just wasn't there. It wasn't
Wasn't the hits.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Gotta play the hits. They're known for their soundtrack though.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like even after the first one, people were looking for that soundtrack. Like those are the hits.
Yeah, it was the only.
The second one, it was like no, give me.
It was the only movie soundtrack to top the Billboard charts that didn't have any original songs for the movie.
Songs. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
James Gunn, you son of a gun. And dot son of a gun. Yeah, that's right. I said it correctly the first time. He's
you.
Literally the son of a gun.
He is the son of a gun.
There you go. I'm ahead of my time.
Are you though?
That all depends on what you're about to say next.
Well, if you were ahead of your time, you already know what I'm about to ask next. I'm about to ask the question: Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, is it super?
Who you asking it to?
I'm asking you, Mr. Ahead of Your Time.
I'm ahead of my time. I knew you was asking me. I just wanted confirmation. Yeah. I think we're gonna go ahead and give James Gunn the 1. It ain't no secret. Clearly close to hitting $1 billion. How far off is it from hitting $1 billion?
I don't know. It's been out for about a week.
Well, we're not gonna let the Mario brothers just take $1 billion and James Gunn don't take $1 billion. I'm going to see it again. Give James Gunn my hard-earned money. See Peter Quill almost die. Rocket almost die.
And Drax almost die.
And Nebula almost died.
Nebula get her head knocked backwards, but still fighting.
And still was fighting.
It's top 300 million.
Yeah.
300 million globally.
Oh.
Wow.
I don't know. Might be those decapitations.
That's not a feat. That's not a hard. It's not a hard task to accomplish.
If you wake up and get out of bed, you beat Ant-Man 3. Just everybody make the same decision that's just time to get out of bed, and that's Ant-Man. Save Cassie. from Holes.
Oh my goodness. From
Sam
Holes.
Cassie from Holes.
Right. That's the storyline on that one.
Keisha, what'd you think? Is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 super?
Yeah. Yes, definitely, probably like based on a few of the movies that came out this year, definitely top one. It was very good. It was very emotional, super emotional. I mean,
get your love.
yes, super with the badassery. I mean, everything about this movie, there were, it had its own little issues, of course, but I think they did a very good job. It was definitely super.
Can we agree that Peter Quill doesn't always have the best plans? I mean, he jumped out of a window.
We know that. We know that from the first movie with his 12% of a plan. Peter never has the best plans.
How did he know Groot could do that?
I don't think he did.
Because science.
Mm-hmm.
Because Groot.
Because Groot.
We are Groot. So, Spider, for the last installment of Mr. James Gunn's beautiful work and time that he spent at Disney, to put a storyline wrap on his creation of taking obscure characters and making them household names.
Mm-hmm.
Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3. Is it super?
100%. Absolutely. I don't think there's any denying it. I feel like, as we've been saying this whole episode, it's crazy just how well everything worked. Just from the beginning, like you said, take a group of lesser known characters outside of, comic book nerds. Nobody in mainstream really knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were, but you can take that and you can create an ever expanding family, not just a family, but an ever expanding family. They expanded on a cast each movie, and there are very few properties that can do that and do it successfully. I don't know off the top of my head who could have done it better. Maybe the Oceans franchise, but still in Oceans 13 it kind of fell off, so maybe they should have stopped at 12. But
hey man,
but
right.
I mean there aren't a lot of films that can be part of a single franchise and they can expand on the cast and then still give the crew that they started out with the same amount of love and attention to where they get those complete stories. And like I said, everybody's story came full circle. And just to be able to pull that off and to not have anyone feel like they were left out. Even Adam Warlock, it seemed like, he came off as a bit of an idiot, but
well, he came out of the birthing pod.
Right,
early.
He came out of the birthing pod early, so he still had some maturity.
How long since Guardians 2 to now?
God, well, Guardians 2 was 2017,
something like that.
So you're looking at 5 years?
Yeah, how long he need to be in there?
I don't know.
I think he overcooked. It's not a maturity thing. He's done.
He's overdone.
He's done.
He went all the way over to come back around.
Come back around.
Play his eyebrows.
Jeez.
Exactly.
But even for him,
and shout out to him though. He played a great character though. He did. They had to find something for him to do. He was a part of it. It made no sense for them not to go that way. He was already introduced in 2, and now you can get even more of him because we knew he wasn't going to be a villain.
He went in for the hug. He went in for the little hug.
Right?
He's just standing there all awkward, like, wait, what did I do?
Okay,
all right, I'll hug too.
And then he had his moment when he was supposed to show the Ravenger some questioning.
Well, show him you mean business.
Show him you mean business.
Just burn the man alive. I didn't really care for the whole what's the name of that painting? The God and Adam or whatever, the 2 fingertips touching. I thought that was kind of
let it out.
I thought that was
on the nose. Yeah, especially if he's dying.
They already alluded. Even James Gunn said that he did that when in Guardians 1, when Rocket was reaching out for Drax's finger when they were holding the Power Stone. That was the sort of parallel to that painting, and for them to kind of like even go overboard with it to make it seem like the actual pain and because you're reaching out to save a man who's dying from space. You're going to reach out with your finger first instead of just flying
so
out and grabbing him.
Yeah,
I was just like, all right, that was a bit much. But
hey, I told you, he's done. Okay, he's already tapped out. He's coming back again. Nobody got time for that.
But no, all that being said, it was an absolute fantastic movie. It was great. It was well written. The action was great. The music was great. The emotions were great. Everything was just top notch.
And you know what I love too, before we go ahead and wrap it up? I love in all the promo art, the Guardians are portrayed as like rock stars.
Oh yeah.
They look like a rock band.
Yeah.
And it just makes the family dynamic look that much more, right? I can easily see them doing the Beatles thing, walking across the street with a Guardians.
You just showed me that.
James Gunn actually just posted test footage of Rocket, and it's like his whole story, like from like actual Rocket down to when he was a baby and they're crossing Abbey Road as if they were the Beatles.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see it though. Everything that looks.
Yeah.
Try to tell you guys before time, but it's okay. It's a circle, not like a regular circle, but like a more freaky circle. There you go.
Oh my god.
Yeah. We'll start a revolution. I just got to get the pamphlets.
I just didn't print enough pamphlets. But
God.
Michelle, what did you think of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? And did you think it was super?
I am Groot. It was super.
I understood that reference. I understood that.
You said.
I understood that. We could speak philosophy here.
No, I thought it was super. It was definitely emotional. Definitely a lot of great scenes. R.I.P. Floor, Toops, and Lila.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about Floor.
Talk about them. I know.
They said Teeps.
Oh, you said Toops.
No, I said Teeps. Yes. Anyways. But no, yes, it was definitely super.
It was one of those expositions where it wasn't like the Dice and Solo. It was like you were figuring I was okay with the way they revealed how he found out he was a Rocket. It was like how he came up with his name. It made sense. It was just really, really wholesome and good. Like a lot of times when they give you information, you're like, I didn't need to know that. Like what was that even part of? But it was really good how they tied everything in together.
First words hurts. Oh, James,
that was painful.
You knew what you were doing.
That hit me hard.
It was. I've never felt for a raccoon the way I did.
And when the High Evolutionary was like holding his skull, there was so much pressure, and it's like these little microaggressions are just. And
my anxiety in this movie was through the roof.
I feel like that was the moment where I knew it's like. Because we saw him kind of like holding Rocket and talking to Rocket and like telling him about the Gregorian chants and the music and how music, is like an important part of creativity. And it was like, oh, okay, well maybe he like really cares about Rocket. But when I saw him like holding his head, I was like, okay, this is like villains.
That's a toxic relationship right there, buddy. Get help.
The mark of a good villain, and we've talked about this when we talk about Killmonger, we talk about Thanos, we talk about the mark of a good villain having that sympathetic, part of them where you can relate to them. You're like, yeah, I see where you're coming from. I wouldn't do it that way, but I can understand, like your driving, your motivation about it. The High Evolutionary is a good villain because of how menacing he is. And it's like, he didn't have to show strength. He didn't have to show power to make you believe he was powerful. Had it.
Right.
And I think Chuck Woody, his performance of the High Evolutionary is like you have to be able to emote that. You have to be able to act that out with without the because and I feel like that was where Kang kind of had a downfall. And I know I kind of said this when we did our Ant-Man 3 review, but we get everybody telling us how powerful Kang is, how dangerous Kang is, and then he gets taken out by ants.
Hey man, there's a lot of ants, man. Come on. You ever had ants run up your leg and bite your ankle. It done took down some of the biggest warriors. It done took them down.
But it just we get Gamora talking about, you know, how people revere the high evolutionary as God, and it's just we don't have to see him like beat up people. We don't have to see him be, you know, gruesome or anything like that, but just the command that he has over all of, you know, his scientists and everything. And when we do see him really let go, when they all turn on him and they say, you know, you become too obsessed with 89P13, and you know, we're you know, basically they wanted to do a mutiny, right? And we see how well mutinies go for the Ravagers. But we see him just
all that noise.
When we see him just let go and just like decimate an entire room, we're like, oh shit, he is that dude. And it's like, he didn't have to. Like the entire movie, he could have just laid, when Peter and Groot came in to, you know, try to kill him or whatever, or basically they wanted to get the pass key for the kill switch that was in Rocket, he could have easily just decimated them and been done and not have to worry about it. But he was still just menacing enough. And just I don't know, just the way he portrayed it, it was just, I just felt like he's one of the top tier villains in the MCU.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start to re-rank these villains now, baby, because we done got another one.
And another one.
And he's not and he's not dead. Rocket, the good Rocket spared him. So we will more than likely see him again. But the question is, where?
I don't know.
Where will he show up? And will he still be trying to make the perfect human? Or will we have to deal with the aftermath of him existing, creating the perfect human? Ooh, I don't know if anybody want to be a guardian of the galaxy right now. You're going to have to put up with that.
I don't know. I feel like now the Guardians are even more powerful than what they were before, because you have a super genius in Rocket. You have Kraglin. He's now mastered the Yaka arrow. You have Adam Warlock, who is basically indestructible, as what we've seen, because we've seen him get blown up, put on fire.
He's T2 old model, yeah.
But we got Alpha Groot, who's now, you know, the size of a 2.5, 3-story building.
Cosmo.
We got Cosmo, the telepath. We got Philo. Groot is thick. But we have all of these super powered beings. You know, before we had Drax and Gamora, who had super strength, but now we have people who have superpowers in the Guardians. Yeah. And I just feel like they're stronger now than they ever were.
Well, we're about to find out if the high evolutionary ever make this perfect being.
I don't think he.
Who knows? Smoke. We may be too far away from that. I am ahead of my time.
Oh my god.
But we will have to see at a later date exactly what's going to happen with not only the Guardians of the Galaxy, but the legendary Star-Lord, because apparently he's going to return and we don't know.
He's coming back for his girl. There's no way that he's not coming back for his girl.
No, I think he's let go.
I think that ship sailed.
I think he's let go.
Mm-hmm.
He had that closure.
It's an unspoken bond. It's an unspoken bond.
Oh, he spoke of it a lot. He spoke of it. He's telling the woman on the elevator his whole life story. He's spoken about that bond a lot. I do like the fact that he does take responsibility for messing things up with Thanos.
Of course. I mean, who else was going to blame? Well, like Rocket said, there was a lot of blame to go around. So I would have denied it. I mean, like, nah, you know, Thanos woke up early. Mantis messed up. Her hand slipped. But, you know, that's the story I would have told.
But let us know what you thought about the video. Let us know what you thought about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Where do you see the characters ending up next in the MCU? We have a long road ahead of us to figure out exactly when we'll see these characters again, possibly in Kang Dynasty, possibly in Secret Wars, the next Avengers team-up movie, but that's yet to be determined. But
hey, here's what you do.
Yes.
Leave in the comment section why you think Peter didn't die.
I tried Googling it. There was no answer.
That's why we're
just
getting it from the
freaking
fans.
older movies when he was saving Gamora.
Oh well.
That's all. That's the only answers I would get.
Well, I guess enough people haven't seen it yet, so they don't have really real.
I saw it at the question helmet.
I mean, that doesn't really spoil anything in the movie, though.
I guess.
But we'll find out. We'll see. James Gunn will go on Twitter or something in a couple weeks, and he'll give some type of explanation, or he'll confirm someone's theory. But until then, let us know what you thought about the video. If you like it, go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes that come out. If you want the audio version of the podcast, just search for All Things Super on any of your major podcast streaming platforms. And if you want to join in on the conversation, just tweet at us at ATSuperPod.
Seven told me that we like reading the comments. You've been quiet the whole episode.
If you don't acknowledge him, he doesn't exist.
Some people say that.
But Keisha, Michelle, thank you so much. It all makes sense now.
I don't want to be in a throuple, okay? Not my thing.
Seven says your mind would change. Okay. So
yeah,
we're done.
I think I think you need to leave Seven alone.
We're done. He is inappropriate. You are inappropriate, sir. A married
Thank
woman.
you so much for the invite, guys. I really had a good time.
Happy to have you guys. We love your opinions and your takes and your insight into these movies. But we'll figure out what's going on next. But until then, we'll see you all in the next episode. And keep being super.
Bye.